A couple of months ago, I made a video going over the absolute worst enemies in Souls history, and I decided, you know what, why not do the opposite? So today I'm gonna go over the top 15 absolute best enemies in the Souls series. Without wasting any more of your time, let's get straight to the list.
Gotcha, bitch!
Mimics are a staple of the Soulsborne series and arguably its most infamous enemy, apart from the shitty ass dogs of course. These seemingly innocent treasure chests lure players in with the promise of loot, only to transform into horrifying creatures with long limbs and massive jaws. The first time you encounter one, it's almost guaranteed to be a memorable moment of panic and betrayal. In combat, mimics are deceptively fast and powerful, catching players off guard with their flailing limbs and devastating bites. Their reach and unpredictable movements make them difficult to handle, especially if you're in a confined space. They are as much as a psychological threat as a physical one. Once you've encountered a mimic, you'll find yourself striking every treasure chest in the game out of paranoia. What makes mimics so iconic is their connection to the themes of trust and danger. In a world as treacherous as the Soulsborne universe, even something as simple as a treasure chest can become a lethal threat. Mimics embody the series' ability to keep players on edge, always questioning their surroundings. They may not have deep lore, but their impact on gameplay and the player's mindset is unforgettable. The Red and Blue Knights of Demon Souls are a great enemy, and they set the tone for the entire series. These enemies are encountered in Boletaria and they are hard to deal with at first. The Blue Knights are tough, methodical, and serve as an introduction to the careful pacing of the game, while the Red Knights ramp up the challenge with more aggression and heavier damage. What makes the Knights memorable is how they force you to master the fundamentals of combat. Their shield and parries make them difficult to deal with head on, while their deliberate attacks punish poor timing. The Red Knights in particular can feel overwhelming early on. Their lore ties into the fall of Boletaria, as these knights once served as protectors of the Proud Kingdom. Now they patrol as hollowed shells of their former selves, driven only by a distorted sense of duty. Every encounter with them feels significant as they embody the tragedy of Boletaria's decline. The Old Knights are towering weathered sentinels found in Hyde's Tower of Flame, one of the early areas in Dark Souls 2. These massive enemies are clad in aged, almost crumbling armor and wield oversized weapons like greatswords, ultra greatswords, and hammers. Their imposing presence and slow deliberate movements make them a memorable and distinct enemy type in the game. What makes the Old Knights stand out is their deceptive combat style. While they appear sluggish at first, their attacks are surprisingly punishing due to their immense reach and devastating power. Their slow wind-up lulls players into a false sense of security, but a single mistimed dodge can result in, well, catastrophic damage. Despite their immense size and strength though, they are surprisingly easy to deal with, especially when it comes on to outmaneuvering them. Encountering these enemies early in the game provides players with an initial sense of dread. Their sheer size and raw power set the tone for the challenges ahead, making the Old Knights a standout in the roster of Dark Souls 2, at least to me. The Lothric Knights of Dark Souls 3 are some of the most well-designed and challenging enemies in the series. These heavily armored knights patrol the crumbling castle of Lothric with unwavering determination, their shining silver armor reflecting the fading glory of their kingdom. They stand as loyal protectors of the Twin Princes, embodying the hopelessness of a kingdom at the brink of collapse. In combat, the Lothric Knights are a serious threat even to experienced players. Their movesets are diverse and include rapid sword combos, heavy shield bashes, and devastating thrusts that can break your guard and stagger you. The lore surrounding the Lothric Knights adds depth to their imposing presence. They serve as symbols of loyalty to a kingdom that has lost its purpose, endlessly patrolling halls filled with ash and ruin. The Dark Wraiths are some of the most fearsome and iconic enemies in the series, cloaked in dark robes and wielding swords. These beings bring chaos, spreading death and destruction wherever they go. The design of their armor looks really cool too. In combat, Dark Wraiths are ruthless and aggressive. Their attacks are relentless, combining powerful swings with the ability to sap your humanity through their signature move, the Dark Hand. What makes them particularly dangerous is their adaptability, as they are just as effective in close quarters as they are in open spaces. Lore-wise, Dark Wraiths are the agents of the Abyss, serving Kath, the primordial serpent. They embody the dark side of humanity, driven by hunger for power and destruction of the natural order. Banished Knights in Elden Ring are relentless warriors. These towering knights clad in heavy armor are often found in crumbling castles or haunting desolate landscapes. What makes Banished Knights stand out is their ferocity in combat. They wield massive weapons, alternating between devastating power attacks and whirlwind combos that can overwhelm even prepared players. These, combined with their sheer resilience, makes every fight a challenge, particularly when they unleash their signature tornado-like spinning attacks. Because of this and their really cool appearance, the Banished Knights are some of my favorite enemies in the game. The Cursed Blades are the first enemy type you encounter in Shadow of the Erdtree, and man, they can be tough if you aren't careful. The Cursed Blades are mysterious masked horn figures with dual blades. They are fast and nimble, which makes fighting them with a slower weapon a bit of a pain. These guys often blend in with their surroundings, making them hard to spot, especially since some of them like to cling to walls and surprise you out of nowhere. Overall, due to their interesting design and cool moveset, they eventually became one of my favorite enemy types, not only in the game but in the entire series as well. Cleanrot Knights are another standout from Elden Ring, serving as loyal followers of Malenia. These knights are clad in gold tinted armor and wield deadly spears or sickles. You can often find them in scarlet rot infested regions of the lands between. Their unwavering loyalty to Malenia is reflected in their resilience and deadly combat prowess. In battle, Cleanrot Knights are incredibly dangerous. Their attacks are precise, combining swift melee strikes with powerful ranged abilities like golden spears piercing from the ground. To make matters worse, they are often encountered in areas where the ground is infested with scarlet rot, adding an environmental hazard to an already challenging fight. The tragedy of the Cleanrot Knight lies in their devotion. Despite succumbing to the scarlet rot themselves, they continue to fight with unwavering determination, sacrificing their bodies and mind in service of Malenia. Their steadfastness makes them both admirable and tragic, adding a layer of emotional depth to every encounter. The Fire Knights are yet another Elden Ring enemy that was introduced in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Most of these knights can be found in the Specimen Warehouse level, and most of them are dressed differently, but the main theme going on is their red capes with the snake sigil, showing that they're Mesmer the Impaler's soldiers. Most of them are pretty tough, especially the one on the bridge close to Mesmer's boss room. He's actually the main reason why I decided to place them on this list, because fighting them can be really fun. The Black and Silver Knights are some of the most iconic Dark Souls enemies. These towering warriors, once loyal to Gwyn, roam the crumbling lands of Lordran, haunting the ruins of the fallen kingdom. In combat, both variants are formidable. The Black Knights, often found wielding massive weapons like greatswords or halberds, deliver devastating strikes that can easily stagger players. Meanwhile, the Silver Knights use more precise weapons like spears and swords, combining speed with elegance. Their mastery of combat mechanics makes them some of the most toughest regular enemies in the game. Their lore adds to their mystique as well. Black Knights are scorched remnants of Gwyn's army who fought against the Chaos Demons, while Silver Knights remained in Anor Londo, continuing to serve a forsaken cause. These are some of my favorite enemies in the whole series. Ring Knights from the Ring City DLC are an unforgettable addition to the Soulsborne enemy roster. These knights have some of the most intricate designs and lore in the series, with the dark flame infused weapons and ornate yet sinister armor. These knights are relentless in combat, wielding unique weapons like the Ring Knight paired greatswords, which looks amazing by the way. Their attacks are brutal, often chaining together wide sweeps and explosive finishers that can shred through unprepared players. Lore-wise, Ring Knights represent the cursed lineage of the Pygmy Lords, the original bearers of the Dark Soul. Their existence is a symbol of humanity's struggle against the Lords, a tragic reminder of their oppression and the destructive power of fire. The Okami warriors from Sekiro are an eerie and otherworldly group of enemies found in the Fountainhead Palace. These enemies usually wield lightning. Okami warriors are dangerous because of their ability to control lightning. Their attacks are swift and elegant, blending traditional melee strikes with ranged projectiles that can hit players from a distance. The use of lightning adds an unpredictable element to their combat, making them a consistent threat. Their lore is also fascinating. The Okami are connected to the divine powers of the Fountainhead Palace, serving as guardians of a decayed and stagnant world. They reflect Sekiro's themes of immortality and corruption, making them a perfect fit for the game's surreal and unsettling atmosphere. Crucible Knights are some of the toughest and most well-designed enemies in the game. These towering knights are remnants of an old order, using incredible strength and skill that can rival even some of the bosses. What makes Crucible Knight unique is their difficulty. Their moves are precise and punishing, with powerful attacks, counters, and even wings and tail they use later on in different phases. Finding one tests your patience, timing, and understanding of the game, as they punish mistakes and demand near perfect gameplay to beat. In terms of lore, Crucible Knights are connected to the ancient forces of the Crucible, representing a time before the Erdtree's rule. They symbolize raw, untamed power, making them both terrifying and intriguing. The Red Guards from Sekiro are my second favorite enemy type to fight in the entire series, mostly because they complement the style of combat the game uses. These guys are a deflect all you can buffet, and honestly, I couldn't ask for anything better. They're just extremely fun to fight. Now they do have a tendency to gang up on you, but all you have to do is take them down one by one and you're pretty much good. Now the reason why I like them so much is because of the way they're introduced. Most times when an enemy is introduced in the games, they act just like any other regular mob, but not these guys. The first time we encounter one is in the late game and we see one chasing down another enemy type. And most times when you encounter them, they're usually fighting another enemy, which is something I find pretty cool. It makes them seem more vicious and stronger, which they are because, man, these guys are tough, but they're also really fun to fight. So yeah, they're my second favorite enemy types in the entire series. Now taking the top spot is an enemy type I didn't expect to rank this high, but after fighting them again I can definitely say that the Bestial Knights, specifically the Lionhead ones, are my favorite enemy types in the whole game, and the whole series. Now the reason why they rank this high is because, they have aura, their design looks amazing, and they feel like a mini boss despite just being tough enemies. Fighting them is a great experience as they have a lot of wind and lightning based attacks up their arsenal, and the way they combo each of these attacks make it feel like you're fighting an actual boss. Chances are the first time you encounter one of these guys you probably got your ass handed to you. Overall they're pretty fun, and because they provide a bit of a spectacle flair, this made me like them even more, and that's why they're at the number 1 spot. That was it for the top 15 absolute best enemies in Souls history. Remember, this is just my opinion, so let me know down in the comments below your personal top 15. Anyways, shout out to my Patreon members Jabroni Jones, Mac, and Daniel Scotland. Thank you guys for the support, and thanks to the rest of you for watching this video. I hope you have a good one.